Hello, Braves country. It's Coach Ken Anderson coming for Hardcore Braves, and this is our Coach's Corner special edition where we get to do an interview. And of course, the guys Erin and Ryan are jumping on, and we're going to welcome. It's a hot topic in the Braves organization, the Rome Emperors, and there's nobody that I talk to better than Gavin Booker. He is the play-by-play, and he does relations. He's ticket sales. He does about everything for Rome. How you doing tonight, Gavin?
Hey, I'm doing great. We just got off a 2 week homestand and enjoying some time off. A few days off here, and we'll get back to the ticketing grind probably tomorrow. But yeah, it's been a great year. A lot of positive things coming out of Rome this season, probably more so than there ever have been, to be honest with you, as far as when as players are concerned. So yeah, it's been great. I'm feeling good, and it's hard to believe we're almost to the All-Star break now.
That season's getting away from us. I mean, it's amazing. I can't believe we're already coming up on 4th of July. Aaron and Ryan, how y'all doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Ken, especially since the Braves are winning right now, but I don't want to say too much about that.
Yeah,
Can
Aaron, there's about three more outs that we got to get before we can celebrate that right now. That's the kind of slide we're in right now as Braves fans. But overall, doing pretty good, Ken. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing really good. It's been a great night in the farm system. Every pitcher that took the mound tonight, all four minors in the majors threw well. That always makes you feel happy as a Braves fan. We know you're dying to hear about the Emperor players. We're going to get to it, but I really wanted to talk to Gavin and let you get a little feedback on Gavin. So Gavin is interesting. Gavin went to Berry College. It's up in Rome, so he's very familiar. There are Vikings, and my wife went to Shorter, and she was a
Okay.
Hawk, and so Shorter and Barry are bitter rivals up there. And I coached at Calhoun with Chip Henderson. He is a Hall of Fame player from Shorter College, so I found it very interesting. So it sounded like you started off as like a pitcher, and then maybe hit a little bit. So how was your trip through Berry College, and how did you get there? Because I read that you were from Ashland, Virginia, or somewhere like it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, so I'm from Virginia. I grew up there. I spent 18 years of my life there, and it really came down to Barry and then a few other Division III schools when I was in high school, and I was really kind of iffy on what I wanted to do. And then I went uncommitted, and then I had a great summer kind of after my senior year. I was actually playing American Legion ball, and I just kind of, I think my high school career, I took it a little too seriously, and I kind of found the love for the game again in American Legion ball because I was like, it's my last summer playing baseball. Let's do it right. Let's have fun, and had a great year. And I was like, you know what, I can probably do this for 4 more years. So I was already going to Barry. I had sent my stuff in to Barry and was just going to go there as a student and not an athlete. And just because I'd visited, I'd loved it. So went to Barry. As soon as I got on campus, I got in touch with Coach Beasley and Coach West, and they pretty much gave me the fall as a tryout. And so I walked on, and it was I started off as an infielder in high school. I was a second baseman and a shortstop. And then when I got to Barry, they had an All-American second baseman in front of me. And so they were like, you better play outfield. So I actually started in outfield, loved it. And then after COVID, I actually started pitching a little bit during COVID, just kind of fooling around. And I came back and was, kind of playing a little bit of outfield and doing some pitching at the same time. So, but really, right after my junior year, I was like, you know what, I kind of want to get a jump start on this broadcasting and sports information because I was really working for the SID at the time, and I was like, I want to get a head start on this. So let me transition, stay around the game, transition over into this new role, and just see where it goes. And that was one of the best decisions I've made. So here I am on y'all's podcast. Hard to believe, like 5 years later now. Still doing broadcasting, media relations, and You said it earlier, doing some ticket sales now. But yeah, that's kind of how I found my way to Barry. I've been really fortunate because, like you said, I've stayed in Rome, pretty much for the last 7 or 8 years of my life, and I haven't had to move anywhere. The opportunities have been here and have been plentiful. So I've just kind of ridden this wave, of being in Rome and having good momentum and just staying on top of my stuff. And I'm sure someday it'll take me away from Rome. I hope. But right now, I love where I'm at. I'm content, and I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you're getting a really good team to follow. We'll get into the team a little bit, but Ryan was a really good baseball player. Still is. He went out Sunday and hit 88 velo. It's pretty good, Gav. So, Ryan, you got anything about his college days?
Yeah, I actually, I think I was coming out of my sophomore year. I went to a baseball camp up there at David Beasley, and he was
Okay.
actually interested in me in my sophomore year, which obviously I didn't go to Barry, but that's pretty cool. I enjoyed it. It was a really nice campus. Coaches were really cool, so that's pretty neat. But I'm more interested in just talking about, I guess, what really made you go into media relations? Like, was there
Mhm.
just always just a pull of your strings that you wanted to go in there? Did you want to be a broadcaster? Did you have any inkling that you wanted to do that earlier in your life?
I sort of did. When I was growing up, I used to annoy the crap out of my parents because I would play video games. And it's funny, a lot of broadcasters nowadays start this way. They play video games, and then we start muting the TV, and we sort of start calling the games ourselves. And so that was me for basketball, for baseball, for NASCAR, for you name it, video game related. So that was kind of how I started. And then I knew that I had an affinity for it. I really didn't ever expect it to get to where it is right now, just because I knew that I would stay around the game. Actually, believe it or not, I went to Barry as a political science major. That lasted, all of a semester. And then I sort of got into sports administration, and then I had a concentration in communications, which is what I graduated with. And I got a phone call one day. I guess it was my junior year. Right after my junior year, I had decided that I was going to be done with playing and that I was, moving on into SID work. And I got a phone call from a teammate of mine at Barry who had graduated, and he was like, "Hey, I've got a summer gig for you if you're interested. It's you'll be a radio broadcaster. Radio. It would just be like an audio only internet stream, right? You'd be a radio broadcaster for a collegiate summer league team." And the collegiate summer league team was the GM was actually another former teammate of mine. I was like, you know what, whatever, yeah, let's do it. So I worked it out so that I can stay on campus for free at Barry that year during the summer because I would work during the day. I would work at our school bookstore, and when it came time to leave, I just leave whenever, and I'd drive to some high school or college park in Georgia somewhere and call the game, and then come back home, get back home at like 2, 3 a.m., something like that, and do that 3 or 4 times a week for the summer. So and then I've had some really great people along the way provide some, really great positive reinforcement for me. I think that's so key when you're talking about a talent-based industry, where it's not necessarily something that you can work on. It's really just put the headset on and go, and hopefully somebody critiques you along the way and uplifts you at times and provides feedback. And so I've had some really great encounters with folks over the last 5 years that have kept me around, really. And so that's sort of how I got into it, is the right opportunities at the right times, and folks just kind of pouring into me and saying, "Hey, you can do this if you want to do this." Like if there's always going to be other things to do. I've looked at the teaching. I've looked into a lot of different things. I've worked fast food. Um, I've cut grass for my dad back home. But they've always been like, you know what, if you want to do this, you can do this if you really want to. Just stay in it. So I've stayed in it, and I still enjoy it. And but that, long story short, that's kind of how I got into it. Was I was just kind of thrown into it, and I showed up to the park my first game. I was actually in the Clingstones Park. It was used to be known as Golden Park, right? And that used to be the home of a collegiate summer league team, the Columbus Chattahoots. And so I showed up to that park for the very first time with a armful of equipment. I didn't have a bag. I just kind of showed up. I had a computer, I had a laptop, and then like an armful of equipment. I had no idea what it was. I had to pull a guy from the radio booth, the home radio booth, because we were visiting that day. I had to pull a guy from there, tell him to come over here, help me out, get me set up. I didn't get my first broadcast going until the fifth inning of the game. And so just like instances like that of where, his name was Bryce Kuhn. He came out of the home radio booth, helped me set up. All right, you're good to go. And so I hopped on. And so that was how it started. And then, like I said, positive reinforcement and feedback throughout the last 5 years has kept me in it.
Interesting is I've known Bryce because he did Georgia Tech work.
That's right.
Yeah, he did. So Bryce is a great guy. He's moved to bigger pastures, to LSU, and he's doing great. And we try to grind in this business, and we started, and so I talked to Erin. Erin has got all the talent in the world, and she needs to just keep making these contacts, and she's doing a great job of that. So, Erin, here's your chance. Here's another one that's kind of that you've fallen behind. And I tell her she's not going to be with us long. Just don't forget us. It's going to make a big time. So, Erin, what you got for Gavin tonight?
Well, first of all, the whole story that you just told about your first initial broadcast and stuff was great insight for me. I am supposed to be covering the Stripers for a couple of games in mid-July for the first time for a small sports media company out of South Carolina. And I'm not going to be broadcasting. I may be doing some interviews. If that works out, we're in the process of getting that set up. But I am terrified. It's just going to be me and my tripod and hopefully a microphone. So it's good to hear that, not everything goes great the first time around. But I did want to ask you, when you decided to transition to broadcasting, were there any particular broadcasters at the time that you kind of were inspired by or looked up to or kind of tried to mirror throughout the beginning of your career?
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm still kind of trying to make myself unique, because I know that a lot of it early on for me was, kind of listening to other folks and trying to mimic that. But I finally feel like, and this is, like I said, this is year 5 for me. Like I finally feel like I have the sound that I want to have. And that's given me a lot of freedom. Because if I go back and listen to what I sounded like, even when I got the full-time, minor league gig in 24, I hate it. Like I go back and I listen to it and I hate it. Like I'm like, that's not what I wanted it to sound like. At the time it was good, but right now if I go back and listen to it, I'm like, man, I don't even know who that is. But to answer your question, I grew up watching in Virginia. We were big. I grew up a big UVA fan, so Ryan Zimmerman was the guy, and so he was with the Nationals, and so we got to watch him every night on Masson. And so, listening to Bob Carpenter, FP Santangelo, that crew there was every night. That was when I was at home. That was when I was with my grandparents. No matter where we were, we found Masson and we're watching, the Nationals play. So I think those guys were kind of the ones that I mimicked early on, just because I liked their flow. Bob Carpenter's obviously a Hall of Famer. That's our scorebook now for all of the radio and TV broadcasters, for the most part, is a Bob Carpenter sports book. And so that's really who I looked up to growing up. I don't have all of these Cubs and Braves stories like a lot of these broadcasters here in the Bible Belt have. I just didn't listen to them. I didn't watch TBS. I didn't watch the Braves or anything like that. It was Nationals. And so that was who I grew up watching. But There was a few others that's like, I don't know if you guys know the name Dave Kane, but he was with UVA for a while. Now he's with Milwaukee, does Milwaukee Bucks basketball. He was, obviously there's my UVA, there's my UVA reference again. He started off doing football and basketball with UVA. So we would listen to his games when they were on the road, and because we had season tickets for football for like 14 years, something like that. So when they were home, we were at the game. But when they're on the road, we listened to Dave Kane. Trying to think of some others. I'd say those are the biggest ones. But then, like I said, I definitely had some of their flair, kind of in what I was trying to get at. But then I slowly learned that people that are listening to you, they don't want to hear Dave Kane, they don't want to hear John Freeman, they don't want to hear Bob Carpenter. Like, if they're listening, they want something new. So that's what I've kind of tried to remind myself is make your own kind of version of what you want other people to listen to. So that's where I'm at right now. And like I said, I'm just now starting to really be comfortable with how I sound. Almost to the point where it's like I didn't even want to listen to myself and go back and critique my own self from the past 2 years or 3 years, whatever it's been. But I would say that those people were the ones that I tried to follow. But then I'd say up until 12 months ago, I was like, you know what, it's time for me to try to do my own thing and just see where that goes. And it's unlocked a lot. I think it's given me a lot of freedom.
Yeah, I think we were been told by many there's nobody harder than us three on ourselves. We kick out
Yep.
stuff and we try to get better, and everything that we've been told, whether it's from CJ or Grant or any of them, is got to be you. Because I'll let you know, Dave Kane, get a chance to listen to Milwaukee Bucks basketball. He's one of the greatest voices. He was made for radio. He was
Hmm.
great. And I just, real quick, before we get into the Emperors, do you ever do See You Later just in honor of Carpenter? You have to do it one time on the Rome Emperors, just say See You Later. I mean, you have to. I mean, it's Bob Carpenter.
Yeah, I've caught myself like a few times doing that. I'm sort of trying to, I don't know. I say things and I'm like, man, like whenever I have an in between innings break, I'm like, man, I go back because our social media team is really good at clipping things and posting them really fast. So I do catch myself sometimes, going back in between innings and listening to stuff, and just to see what it sounded like. But for a while, I had a home run call, right, and then now, having listened to, I mean, Ben Ingram's obviously the I think the standard now, right? Of not just Atlanta Braves baseball, but he may be the gold standard for all of baseball in terms of radio. But I try and honestly now I'm trying to shift away from having a home run call, right? Like I'm trying to shift away from that and be very descriptive and have something different each time. But I have caught myself. I've caught myself, kind of being a mockingbird for a few broadcasters, not just those guys, but I try it sometimes too. Like when I'm driving home from the stadium, I'll turn on a West Coast game, that's still going on, and I'll, whether it's San Fran or Seattle or whoever, and just see what they sound like, just to kind of get a feel for that, and make some notes and maybe try to incorporate something in the next game. But yeah, I'm a big Bob Carpenter guy for sure. Always will be a Bob and FP guy.
Yeah, and anybody want to know, they don't recognize the voice. He was the Mark McGuire home run chase voice.
Hmm.
He got to call all the Mark McGuires. So real quick, before we get to the Emperors, Ryan, these are two. He interned with the Valeska Wild Things, and in 2022 he was the radio voice of the Choco Colaco Monsters. Is that not two of the best names you've ever heard of, Ryan?
I love minor league teams, man. I'll be honest. So Gavin, when because it used to be the Rome Braves, right?
Yes,
When
sir.
they
Yep.
announced the Penguin, I was so stupid excited, man. That's such a the Rome Emperors is such a great minor league team. I just love that. But also we have a team where we're at now. It's a collegiate and summer league. They're the Wild Things as well. So that's pretty cool right there. It's pretty cool.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, the rebrand I thought went excellent. Because I was an intern in 23, And so I was there the last year of the Braves and then the first year of the Emperors. And I still think it's up there for one of the best rebrands in minor league baseball over the last 5 years. I really do. We wanted a name that, we wanted something that fit with Rome, and birds do really well in baseball, and there was no penguins in baseball, outside of, Youngstown State, that college baseball program. So, we said, that it fits so well. It's almost a slam dunk, to be honest with you. So, I think it went really well. I think the community has really gotten behind it. And I think, I've just been really shocked at the national response to that, and the merchandise sales and everything like that. The hat sales alone have been huge. So we love it. I still love it. I still think that I'm very partial to it. It's still, I think, the best rebrand that has happened in minor league baseball in the last 5, 6, 7 years, something like that.
I think the Braves organization in general has done a great job. That their four minor league teams are their own teams. There's nothing better than Augusta Green Jackets, Columbus
Hmm.
Clean Stones, the Gwinnett Striper, and they all meet the little towns they're in. So it's really
Yep.
excellent. So let's get into the 2026 Rome Emperors. They're outstanding. The Braves' top 30 prospects, according to MLB, according to I call them the nerds. All the nerds get all these numbers. They have 10 of the 30 sitting at Rome right now. So we'll let Erin kick it off. Who's the first one you want to talk about of the 10 top prospects in the Atlanta organization?
Well, I think that's pretty obvious. Eric Hartman. He's
Yeah.
everywhere. I mean, I followed him a little from the beginning, but now I can't open Twitter or X without seeing something about him. And he's recently made major jumps in the baseball as a whole prospect pipeline. So I wanted to ask you, as watching him through the season, what it was like for you to experience, like, witnessing that development in real time.
Well, I mean, it's certainly unprecedented. I think today I saw I think he's Baseball America's now number one Braves prospect, I think.
They moved him. Yeah, they moved
Yeah, so
him.
he's up to one. I just have never seen um, I guess there's always preseason, hype around guys who come in top 30 or fringe top 30. And you always get the media requests for those guys, but I've never seen anything like the rise of Eric Hartman, just from a guy that when we got the break camp roster in late March, and we had that kind of week and a half between the season starting and when they left Northport. Um, Eric Hartman was not a guy on there that I was like itching to get to interview, nor was the local media or Atlanta media itching to interview Eric Hartman at all. He was just honestly, like, in minor league baseball too, and you'll probably come to realize this too, Aaron. It's like you have your blue chip guys. You have your top 10 prospects. You have the guys that they take in the top 10 rounds of the draft. But then pretty much the picks after that, you'll find your diamond in the rough every now and then. But really, those guys are there to play with the blue chip guys, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the feel of minor league baseball. It's especially in the in the complex league and single A and high A. You have two or three guys, and then the rest of the guys in the clubhouse, especially position players, they're there so that you can make up a lineup and put guys in spots so that so that your team can play another team for 9 innings that night for 6 games that week. That's kind of the feel of minor league baseball at our level. Um, and so Hartman, you know, I'll be honest, felt like one of those guys coming into the year. 20th round pick. Um, he's a guy that you're going to slot into center field and left field. He's not a priority guy entering the year by any stretch of the imagination. He's probably going to start in the left majority of the games. And we'll see how it goes. And then all of a sudden he's blossomed into this priority guy who's seeing 5 starts a week in center field and 1 start a week in the DH spot just to give him a rest. But he's in the same conversation as a South Decene and as a John Heel. And it's just been incredible to watch. He's incredibly patient at the plate for how old he is. I just watched him turn 20. He's got some of the best plate discipline that I've seen here in the last 4 years. Um, the power's obviously there. It's an unorthodox swing. It's a swing you can't really teach. It's almost like a Marcelo Zuna swing almost, where it's just like I don't know how it works, but it works. I've seen the comps to Schwarber. It does look a lot like Schwarber, but again, like that's the mark of a big leaguer. Is someone whose swing doesn't look quite right, but they make it work and they can hit 300 with it. And I've been waiting for the slump, right? I've been waiting for the 1 for 22 series. I've been waiting for that. It hasn't come. And I think that's thanks in part to his plate discipline, and that's something that I've seen really the top 5 guys in the order have this year, which is something new. But he's a specimen. He's big. He gets his work in. He takes care of his body. I don't know what time he gets to the ballpark, so I can't really make that ism of being the first one there and the last one to leave, right? I don't know when he gets there, but I know for a fact that when I take box scores down at the end of the night, he's in the cold tub, right? He's making sure that he's ready to go the next day. So I think for him, really what has been key is he's been able to keep it internal, and he's just a high schooler, really. Like that's what's so beautiful is that he's 20 years old, committed to play at Michigan. Forewent that, said, you know what, I'm going to go to pro ball. This is, he had his first full year last year. He came into this year a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, and a little bit better headspace. And he's enjoyed the year that he's enjoyed, but he's able to keep it internal and not get external with it and not listen to everybody else in the outside world. He, like I said, he's still just a kid, and he's playing that kid's passion and that kid's mentality every game. I don't know if you guys have seen his undershirt. That
Oh
it's
yeah.
just it's a ripped shirt. It's a sleeveless shirt, and it's got a cat on it, and it says "Wait, I'm goated" on it. Like that's some high school stuff. Like that really is. That's some high school playoff stuff that you see, and he's just got that every game. He's all smiles every game. He's got his boys on the team. Isaiah Drake, they're really tight. I'm sure he's tight with Owen Carey. Those guys are all just so young that it really is. It does feel like a high school playoff clubhouse, like when you go down there. And it hasn't had that feel since I've been there. So I think that that's really special. But long answer to your question is he is Eric Hartman still. Even after everything that's transpired this year, him shooting up the rankings, Braves Twitter asking why he's not in Atlanta yet, every post that we make, right? It's like he's still Eric Hartman. He doesn't listen to any of that stuff. He doesn't look at it. He's showing up and he's wearing the same sleeveless T-shirt under his jersey every single day. And I don't know how many of those he has in his locker, but he's got to have like 5 or 6. But it's just he's Eric Hartman, and he's unique. He really is.
The two things on Eric that I will mention to you, Gavin, is being the old guy, definitely on this crew here, that's 4. He reminds me of Rafael Furcal's catapult going through the Brace system in the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
He come out of nowhere, and I remember, the riders and stuff, and I remember being told this guy's going to be phenomenal. Now, different type player, different build. And the other thing is, let you a little know before I let Ryan jump in here. Me and Erin were sold, and I talked to Coach Ramsey. If Burris would have fell to 9 to us, I think we're 100% we're going to take him because of the outfield situation. I think Eric Hartman now has clouded that number 9 pick a lot. So even if Drew drops, he could drop further behind us because I think Hartman slots in about where they need an outfielder coming in. So
Mm-hmm.
that's just a little point on Eric. Ryan, what you got on the young pups down at Rome?
Well, Ken, there's one dude who I just can't take my eye off down there on the Rome Emperors, and it's not Hartman. Hartman's great, But there's one kid that caught my eye when I saw him in spring training, and he reminded me instantly of Ronald. He's not built like Ronald. He's got speed like Ronald had, but his swing reminds me a lot of Ronald, and that is Mr. John Heel. So I'm
Hmm.
very curious as to get to know the young man a little bit and how he is in the clubhouse, and what do you see on Mr. Heel on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. I'll start actually with a really a non-baseball topic, and it's that he's so young, like he's 19, going on 20, and his English is great. And that's not something that you see a lot of the time. I've seen 20, 30, 40 Latin players, come through who are much older than John Heel, and who spoke no English, right? But John, his English is spectacular. I'm not saying you're going to be able to sit here and have a full conversation with him and maybe do a podcast with him, but to be able to, see him around the batting cage and catch him after batting practice and just have a 10 or 15 second back and forth with John, like that means a lot. That means, I think that means a lot, not only to John himself but also to the clubhouse in general. And so I was really impressed with that, for him being 19, for him to be in the States. A lot of these guys that come out of the Dominican Summer League and play in that, they're 23, 22, 23 years old, really, before they're, in the States, really kind of full time, whether it be in the Complex League or Augusta or Rome. So sometimes it takes some time. I mean, by the time they get to us, sometimes they may be, they may be their seventh year as a professional because they were signed when they were 17, you know? And so that development process takes a while, but he is well ahead of the curve and from that aspect. And so I wanted to lead with that because, to me, that's one of the more impressive parts about John is just his willingness to talk. He had a full-fledged interview. I forget what media outlet it was, but he had a full-fledged interview the other day. It was with some help from Tuiasa Sopo, who was roving and was in our clubhouse that day. But for him to step up and to do that, and to accept that and say, yeah, I'll talk to the media. Yeah, I'll talk. Like that's huge, and that's not something that happens too often at our level. It may develop, and you may see an interview in Double A or Triple A for guys like that. But for John to be at High A and for how old he is, I think that is really really impressive. To the baseball side of things, he is as put together of a shortstop I think that we've seen in Rome over. I mean, if you want to classify, just narrow it down to the left side of the infield, probably since Riley in 16. We've had many a shortstop come and go, right? We've had a Ambior's Tavares, who spent a few years with us. Uh, Outside of that, we're really going back before my time. Maybe like I don't even know, like a Cal Conley. Dansby didn't even really come through with us. He rehabbed one game. He never stopped in Rome though on his way to the big. So he is well put together. He's hitting for average. I think the one thing we were waiting to see with him was his pop, and his slug. And I mean, I think he's got 10 jacks right now, 10 or 11 this season. So that's certainly there, on pace for 19 or 20 this year if he stays healthy, which it looks like he will. He moves well. We've actually slid him over to second now with Tate. Tate being there, he's performed well there as well. That's not always the easiest thing to do, slide from one side of the second base bag to the other, but he's an athlete and he's playing second base just like he would play short. But yeah, I really do think John Heel is a big leaguer. Like I do. Now, as I've said this for a lot of our pitchers, a lot of our position players over the years, just because the Atlanta roster is what it is, he may not be a big leaguer with the Atlanta Braves, but he's going to be a big leaguer, just because he's built like a big leaguer, and he's certainly. I mean, he's got the more stolen bases than anybody in our league this year. I think he's up to 34 now. I think he swiped one tonight, if I'm not mistaken. So 34 stolen bases, on pace for 60, there, 55 or 60 there. So, I mean, John Heel could have a John Heel can have a 2060 season with the Rome Emperors. I know that we're talking about Eric Hartman having a 2030 year, which, if he stays with us, which I don't see him doing, but if he does stay with us, he's going to be, possibly a 50 player, with us this year, which is just nuts to think about. But John Heel's right on pace with that too. Isaiah Drake's right on pace with that too. If Owen Carey had stayed healthy the first month and a half, 2 months of the season, he could be probably in that conversation as well. But it's been great, I think, also for all of these guys to be around each other doing the exact same thing and going through the process with each other every single day. I think that's underrated because it'd be easy to have Heel with us and Hartman in AA already. Maybe Drake is still with us, but I think that's something that a lot of people overlook is like, why would the Atlanta Braves split these guys up? If they're all doing their thing right now, then just let them do their thing. You put them in a clubhouse mid-season that maybe isn't doing the best. I don't know what Columbus is doing, but everything I hear from Jack is that they need some of these guys. But they need some guys who can hit a little bit. But I'm like, why would you? They're all 20. They're all 19 and 20. They're not aging any faster in Rome than what they would, in Columbus. Keep them together. Keep John Heel here. Keep Hartman here. Keep this next window of opportunity for Atlanta together. And I think that is important for Atlanta. I think people don't realize that. So anyways, love Heel. He's fast. He can hit. The power's coming around. And I don't know where he slots. He could be a second baseman. I still think that he could be a shortstop somewhere.
Well, interesting is I think they will try to keep that core as long as people want to know why they're not moving. One of the things is I think they're kind of waiting on Guanipa to really get solid in Augusta. I do expect Hartman to be the one guy to go to Columbus just to see how he hits in that ballpark. We'll see, but I think they'll keep that core together. So as the old pitching coach, because these two want to talk about the hitting and the speed, I'll talk about our four pitchers. So the four there that are ranked are Cam Caminiti, who is number one going into today. He'll probably fall to two. He finally pitched his first start at Rome, and you got to see that. And then Briggs McKenzie is the fast one coming up, and you've got to see him throw. Luke Sennard is down there, and then tonight Ethan Bagwell made his debut in Rome, went 6 innings, no runs, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. You'll take that all day long. I think as the pitch coach, when I see these four in film, all four are going to be major leaguers in my opinion. Now, they may all not be starters, whatever. Some may slot to the bullpen. Luke Sennard's the guy I'm thinking about, may go to the pen. But those four guys, what do you make of the four young pitchers that are ranked in the top 30 in the Braves prospects?
Yeah, I really haven't seen Bagwell all that much. I've watched tape, and he just made his first start with us tonight on the road in Jersey Shore. So I don't really have too much to offer there other than what the scouting report says for him. But I can definitely speak to those other three. Luke is currently on the IL. I think that's going to be, he's one of those guys that's going to be his biggest hurdle moving forward, is staying healthy. It's just and for some guys that is, when they're healthy, they're really great. The question is can Luke as a starter go out and make 21, 22 starts every summer? And until he shows that he can do that, then you may see him move into a bullpen role. He's 6'7", 6'8". So he is a big dude, and it's, for whatever reason, it's harder for guys like that to stay healthy the whole season. And it was that way for him even in college at Indiana. He got drafted having not even pitched, the year before the draft. I think just a sidetrack and aside to that, I think a guy that really impressed me when we had him, and he is in AAA now, was Garrett Bauman, because he's the same size pretty much. But man, he was as reliable as they come, making a start a week for us when he was with us. And so that really impressed me with Bauman. But anyways, Luke is got, I think his fastball's right now probably sitting 93, 94, somewhere in there. And he's a guy too, where if you move him to the pen, you take him out of the windup, you simplify a lot of things and you get him stronger, then he could probably be a 98 guy, a 97, 98 guy. And so I do think that there's an avenue for him. I do think he's a big leaguer. Again, like you mentioned, it's just a question of where does he slot in. But one, he's just got to stay healthy. And I think that's priority number one for him. I think he's on the 7-day right now for us, so he'll be back, I think, after the All-Star break. And we'll see what the second half looks like for him. Because we've seen guys that have looked really good as starters, but the Braves have another plan. The Braves, I mean, Jacob Krager was another one last year. Was like, dude, this guy needs to be a starter. This guy's giving us 5-6 innings every time out. He had like a 2.03 ERA last year. Well, he comes out this year, he's out of the pen. So it's like they have plans for these guys. I think right now it's still for Luke to be a starter. So, but again, he has to come out and prove that he can throw 90 innings every year. That's what he needs. He needs a 90 to 100 inning season under his belt, and we haven't gotten that yet. Let's see. The two LSU commits, Cam Miniti and McKenzie. I would have hated to have seen SEC teams rolling into a weekend with that, with McKenzie on, Cam Miniti on a Friday night, McKenzie on a Saturday night. That would have been something. But I've seen more, I think, out of Cam Miniti over the last 2 or 3 starts. I think to begin the year he was, and I still think he's sort of coming into his own. He's not really. He hasn't really looked like a minor league pitcher yet, just from a physicality standpoint. Briggs looks like one. All these other guys, you can tell, like they've been in the minor leagues. They've been in the Atlanta Braves strength and conditioning programs. They've been there. Cam right now, I don't think he's quite there yet. I think he needs to bulk up a little bit. And I think when he does that, his velo is going to take another tick or two. He's got the stuff. I mean, he's got the slider to hang with anybody, and he's got the changeup to hang with anybody. He'll eventually need one more pitch, but I think right now his biggest thing, because they kind of shortened him up a little bit. They had him on a leash these last few starts. He was only like 55 to 65 pitches. But I'm not sure what all that is about. But they're lengthening him back out now. So he just needs to have a good summer, and he didn't have the first half of the year that he wanted to in the spring, right? April and May didn't go as planned, but I think this All-Star break is going to do him really well. I think it'll help, because he's in the futures game. And so for some guys, I think it does help to go there and to reinstill, hey, I'm still the guy that Atlanta took 24th overall. I'm still on a lot of sites the number one prospect in this system. Let me show that. Let's show that. Let's come back out in the second half after this thing's over. Let's make 7, 8 more starts, whatever is going to be left after that, and let's show it to everyone again that I'm still the left-handed pitching prospect that everyone drooled about 2 years ago. McKenzie's the same way. I haven't seen much out of him just because he just got to us. I think he's made like 3 starts with us. But his thing that I love about McKenzie is that he can show you a fastball at 94, but then he can also show you a fastball at 90, 91. And he can manipulate that. He can add and subtract really well with that pitch. And that's going to be, that really takes a 3-pitch mix, right? Your traditional high schooler 3-pitch mix, a fastball, curveball, changeup, or fastball, slider, changeup. Now that makes that a 5-pitch mix, because now you've got addition and subtraction on the 94, on the 93, 94 mile per hour fastball. So that's what I really have liked about Briggs, is seeing him mix that in and get guys off balance with that. And off balance may not look like a strikeout, but off balance looks like weak contact to the left side, right? As a left-handed hitter, or weak contact to the right side off the end of the bat as a right-handed hitter. So that's what I like about those guys. It's a great staff. We've always had great staffs, man. And it's slowly coming together. Sometimes we break camp with a great staff, but this year we're adding guys, as the year goes on, that is going to make it a great staff here in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on what I see on all four of them. I think
Hmm.
they're right. We're right in the same line. And with McKenzie, I see a little Cole Reagan. Cole does the same thing with
Hmm.
changing the velocity. So I think we're right there on them. I think all four are pitching the major league. Aaron, what you got? You got a bunch more to pick from. You got a question on any of the other kids? South the Scene, Drake. I mean, Isaiah Drake is a great story because he's Kenyon Drake. He's related to Kenyon Drake.
Yep.
But what you got, Aaron?
Well, I know that we've been talking about all of the big Rome names, but I wanted to ask you, Gavin, is there any player on this team that, Braves fans, Rome fans, minor league fans in general are overlooking right now or sleeping on?
Yeah. I think that there's one that immediately comes to mind. And he's actually not with us right now. He broke camp with us, and then he was kind of the corresponding move in the South the Scene deal. But that's Cody Miller. I don't see him. I think maybe Baseball America had him in the top 30 preseason. He had a slow start to the year with us, but man, uh, I'm so high on Cody Miller. Like even after the starts of the year that he had, just because his athleticism is just off the charts. He's a little bit on the smaller side, right? I think he's maybe 5'10", 5'11". He played some third base for us. He played some second base for us. But I did this exercise last year with our coaching staff. Our manager was Angel Flores. Bobby Moores has always been our hitting coach, but we used to have these powwows on Sunday mornings before our Sunday game, and I would we'd tear off these little slips of paper and we'd write down. I'd come up with a superlative and say, who is X player, who is the best power versus left, power versus right, and it was one of the last weeks of the year, and we had gotten this crop of draft picks in, and I was like, who's the most athletic? Who's just the best athlete on the field? And we had some great athletes last year. We had Lodi's. Lodi's reported to us. Braunschweig reported to us, who, by the way, is having a great year right now with Columbus. And we had Cody Miller, and all three of us in unison wrote down Cody Miller just because he was. He runs better than everybody. He fields better than anybody. I think he came in and hit like 290 with us over the last like 30 or 40 games. I think he had a stretch in Augusta where he hit like 6 homers. I think he's hit like 6 or 7 homers since he's been in Augusta, since we sent him down. Um, so I would say Cody Miller. I know that he's not quite like a guy, an unknown, right? Because I think we took him in the third round. But he's a guy, I think, with the shortstops we drafted, he was definitely not the guy everyone was talking about, right? It was either Lodis or it was Salthasine last year, and it wasn't Cody Miller. Um, and I think Cody's got the makeup and the mentality of a big leaguer. I just hope his size doesn't keep him back. And I don't think that it will. I think he can hit for power. But I would say Cody Miller. If you haven't read up on that article, I don't know if you guys know about his dad and taking pictures because his dad was the one that photographed his first Bowman card. So he is. That's a pretty cool story. His dad has become a really good friend of ours at the Emperors because we've credentialed him and he sends us stuff and just two great human beings there with Cody and his dad Brian. But definitely Cody Miller, and I'm trying to think of maybe in one that really nobody has heard of. Um, I'll tell you one that I really like, and I don't know that he's a big leaguer. Um, but I tell you, he's made a great career so far. Is Will Verdung, and he's not in our system. He's in Columbus now. He's not with us, but he was called up probably a month ago. Just a great hit tool. Great. I think he's a career maybe like 260, 270 hitter. Doesn't hit for power, but man, he will single you to death. He will, as Ben Ingram will say, he'll paper cut you to death. In a ball game, 2 hits here, a hit here. 2 hits one day here, 3 hits here. He's a great talent. He's a corner infielder. We've played him at first base a lot, but Will Verdung is another great ball player in our system, and I think Columbus really likes him. All the fan bases typically love Verdung, so those are my two guys. I think those two are good ones. Um,
Yeah,
Hopefully that gives you guys some insight there.
Well, we don't talk before all this, and the funny thing is, I was going to tell you that Cody Miller, I got to see at Western Carolina when he went to. They played at Western Carolina, and I happened to be there for the whole weekend series. My nephew was going to Western, and I said, "Who is this kid?" He played second, then he played short, and then he played center field. And I'm like, he
Hmm.
ran all over the ballpark. So when we drafted him, I was the one on Braves Twitter. Wait to see Cody Miller. Wait to see Cody
Yep.
Miller. And to let you know, since he's went back to Augusta, he's over 800 something OPS. He has
Yeah.
crushed it. So he's got right. The sad part is, I tell Erin all the time, that'll probably be one of the guys that'll probably have to be a major league in another uniform just because
Right.
of the thing. And I will be a big Cody Miller fan. I'm gonna tell you right now, I love him, and I did get to meet Brian at a game last year, and phenomenal guy as well. Brian,
Yes.
what you got?
Well, I'm going with the other shortstop, Tate Southesine. The biggest thing, because I'm just hitting guru apparently.
Hmm.
His hands were really low. He had the big leg kick coming out of the draft. I was like, that's the first thing he's gonna have to correct in pro ball. That's just not gonna cut it. So I was interested to see how he would adjust and how quickly he would adjust. And it seems like he started making those adjustments in the complex league last year. So what's been something that's really impressed you with Tate in his short time up there with Rome?
Um, well, I haven't seen what he's done tonight, but I think I put out a tweet right before the game that I think he came into the night hitting 216 with Rome, which to a lot of people that's not a good start, right? But I think because tonight was his 20th game, but he had a 19 game on base streak coming into tonight. And so that means that he's been on base every one of his games, at least once, since he's been with us. I think his maturity at the plate, he looks a lot like Hartman in that his chase rate is not high at all. You can tell when he gears up for something. You can tell that. You can tell when he's trying to hit for contact, and you can tell when he's trying to hit for power. And I like that about him. I like that he's taking chances on 2-1 pitches, 3-1 pitches. I like that. And but he's not an all or nothing guy, right? We've seen people come through here. Lisandro Espinosa being the first one that comes to mind. Ambior's Tavares was another guy who just he couldn't help themselves, right? A 2-1 slider, which is what a lot of these guys are getting, right? Because they're not getting fastballs anymore. The days of getting 2-1 fastballs, 3-1 fastballs, unless you're seeing somebody with plus plus stuff, you're not getting that. You're getting changeups and you're getting sliders. And if you're a right-handed bat, chances are you're getting sliders. And so he has shown the propensity to be able to take those pitches, but also to be able to hit those pitches into gaps, which we saw in Augusta. Which I think I don't know what his OPS was in Augusta, but it was pretty good. That hasn't translated yet, but what we've seen is him still continue to be patient and get himself into 3-2 counts. He may strike out on those 3-2 counts, but he's getting into 3-2 counts. I love the stat a few years ago from actually Ambior Tavares when they were working with him to cut down on the chase and to cut down on the swing and miss. He saw, I don't know how they calculated this, but he saw more pitches than anybody in the Brave system that year. Just saw more pitches than anybody. And I think that's probably going to be Tate this year, just from the at-bats that I've seen. But yeah, they cut out the leg kick. I don't think that was going to play for him. They've brought the hands up a little higher, right? They're still, I would say, a little low. Like they're kind of in here, right? They're not where he was when he got drafted in here, but they're still kind of in here. They're not quite up here, but he's got a hit tool. He's obviously got speed. I think he had 30 bags, probably on pace for an 80, a 70 or 80 steal a year. In the Brave system. I like him. I think he's another. He showed up to the park, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to let Tate Salvesen go without a walk-up song. Like he didn't submit anything. He's like, I don't care. Pick something for me. I'm like, okay, we'll get right on that. So he's just another carefree, get to the ballpark, get your work in, play ball. It's not a whole lot of extracurricular stuff. I think Tate is destined to be great. I don't know. Again, same thing though. Will he be great in a Braves uniform? I'm not sure, but but he will be great somewhere. Just because you can tell he's already put some pounds on, which is great, and he's right in line. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing. I think for a lot of guys, it's good to see them struggle a little bit. I really do. Some guys, talking with JR, when JR Ritchie went up and had James Wood take him deep for the first pitch of the game, and talking with him after I texted him after the game and was like, he was like, that's the best thing that could have happened. It really was. So I think it is good for guys to, have success at one level, get to the next level, and hit 220 for a month or so, right? And then let's see where that leads us though. Like let's see what July and August look like for Tate now that he has 50, 60, 70 at bats. But I like Tate. I think he's going to be great somewhere. I hope it's in a Braves uniform. But you probably know more about this. I was never a swing guy. I'm not a big swing guy. I can tell you, I can look at stuff and I have conversations with guys. I was never a big swing guy myself, but he's got a good one. It's just a matter of refining it and continuing to get better. I think that's the case for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the Rome team, that's all we hear is they're just ball players. A lot of good
Mm-hmm.
ball players, so good people. Well, we got to get on out of here. I'm going to see if I got anything else to ask him, and then I got one last question. But, Erin, you got anything else for Gavin?
No, thanks again for coming on. You've provided a lot of awesome information, a lot of stuff that I didn't know, and I'm definitely going to look into that article about Cody Miller's dad for sure. That
Yeah.
sounds
Yes.
awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes. Yeah, I think that was The Athletic, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I think that was an Athletic article. Right around, I think maybe January, February this year, something like
Okay.
that. Worth a read, definitely.
Definitely during the winter, and it was the
Mm-hmm.
Athletic. So, Ryan, what you got?
Appreciate your time, man. It's awesome to talk. I love talking ball, especially minor league baseball, because it gets so overlooked because Major League Baseball is such the cream of the crop. But I loved how you mentioned you used to play video games and mute the TV and call the games, because I used to do the same thing, man. That's good stuff.
Yep, it is. It's great. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I think how everybody learns is just doing it that way. Like I said, I got into coaching weird. Chip threw me to the wolves, said, "You're a pitching coach." I said, "I'm not even a pitcher. What do you do?" And I happened to run into Ricky Honeycutt, who introduced me to Rick Honeycutt, and he had me watch videos. And I just watch video and video. So we're going to get out of here. One last question is she's like she said, she's going to go to Gwinnett. I'm going to go to Gwinnett that weekend as well.
Mm-hmm.
We would love to have a hardcore Braves day at Rome Emperors. That's what we really
Yeah.
want. We want to come.
Yeah.
I live in the Chattanooga. We can all get there. So put a little
We'll make
bug
it.
in their ear. We'd like to come out to Rome and watch y'all and see how everything works.
Yeah, definitely. You just let me know what day you're kind of looking at. I think we've got 27 home games left. We don't play again though until like July 17th, which is a good little break. That we don't play a home game, I should say,
Yeah.
until July 17th. But yeah, come on out. I'll try to make it so we do still have some traveling broadcasters, in our league, which is great. But if y'all could come a day when maybe we don't, and set you guys up in the visitors booth for a few innings, get each of you guys some innings, and just talk ball, then let's do it. I'm there. I listen. I talk to myself enough. I don't have a color guy. I most of the time I'm getting off work, because you guys got to remember I'm on the phone all day too. Because I'm selling tickets, right? So I go from being on the phone, making 50 calls a day, to being in the booth and talking to myself and hearing myself some more for 3.5 hours. So I'm always game for some company. So we'll nail down a date and get you guys out there, and we'll do it up.
That was great. We love it. All right, it's plug time, Gavin. Tell everybody all the stuff you got going on. Also tell them how we can get into Rome and watch games. I'm sure the crowds are good. They're always usually. I coached out of Calhoun, so Rome started when I was still at Calhoun. Always good crowds are there, especially
Yep.
on the weekends. But tell us how to get in touch with you and Rome itself.
Yeah, so I mean, we've got a pretty great collection coming out. We've got our Summer Legends stuff going on. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it's basically our ode to our the '96 Olympics. So we've got some special uniforms going out that we'll wear, I think, for roughly 2 or 3 weeks coming out of this break that we've got, and so that's going to be really fun at the ballpark. But yeah, if you want some group tickets or whatever, then I'm definitely your guy. 706-378-5105. Give me a call for that. Um, and but yeah, we have a box office. Obviously, walk-ups are welcome. If you just want to tune into the game, we're like everyone else. We're on MILB TV, which is now on MLB TV. On if you have the TV stuff set up, which is great, I think. We're also on Valley Sports Live, that app as well for free. We also do have an audio only stream on our websites at goemperors.com. But yeah, we've got a good thing going. This is the best team we've had in quite some time, and we've seen some great teams. We've seen Schwellenbach, we've seen Smith Shawver, we've seen Drake Baldwin here recently. So, but this team I think is really special. They interact well with fans, and we'd love to have some folks out, have some of your viewers and your listeners out for sure.
We love it, and I'll try to make it out. We're going to definitely take you up on the coming out and having a hardcore Braves Day.
Let's do
All
it.
right, guys. All right, we're going to get out of here. Remember, at Erin on Deck, TikTok, and X, and Instagram, everywhere. Erin, you got anything coming up you want to try to tease the folks with?
No, just the usual. Trying to stay optimistic and finding the good side of things. And of course, we've got the trade rumors I'm on top of. So be on the lookout for all of my realistic takes on who I think we're going to snag before the deadline.
We have our trade show. Me and Aaron's got it. We're fixing to do our second week of it, so we'll get into that. Ryan, at Braves Homer 27, at Braves Hip Coil. Ryan's got an interesting thing coming up, guys. What you got coming up?
Well, as Ken has stated several times, I did knock 88 X of velo off the tee, so there is no counter force coming into it, and the balls are absolute crap. So to get 88, I was pretty happy with that. But my goal is 95 by the end of the year off the tee. So y'all are going to get to see some little home workouts that I'm going to do. You're going to see me taking batting practice, what I'm going to work on, because I'm not just trying to hit 95. I also want to have my good swing that I had. So that is what I got coming out. And of course, you got the hip coil, the hitter meetings that we do before every series. So give those a check if you guys want to tag in on those. Ken, what you got?
We got a bunch of stuff coming up. We got the round table coming up with fans. We have our pitchers thing, and of course we have our hardcore Braves. Y'all keep checking us out every social platform at Hardcore Braves. We love you, Braves country, and we appreciate you. And as always, peace.
You know what, boys? You guys are going to be world champions for the rest of your life.